Where words fail, music speaks. Hans Christian Andersen. Hey, you crazy kids, and welcome to Voices in My Closet. I am your host, Daniel, and you are the audience. I'll call you audience, and you'll just have to deal with it. I hope you're all doing well, whichever time of day or whichever day you happen to be listening to or watching this. I wanted to, for this episode, go back to my childhood. I know I've talked about my childhood before, but I really want to go back and look specifically at my creative slash musical upbringing, just the different musical experiences that I've had that sort of led me up to where I am right now with the kind of musical stylings that I do for my channel and just in everyday life. And because it's been a ride for me. It's been quite a ride. And I definitely want to share it with people because not everybody knows about it. So let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane, musical memory lane. I think my musical journey started around the age of 9. I got a electric keyboard for the Christmas I was 9, and it was Christmas right after I turned 9. I got one of those 62 key keyboards, the ones that light up, the cheaper ones, and I was so excited because I knew my parents had learned piano when they were both kids. Not exactly the best experiences from what I heard, but I thought this meant that they were going to teach me how to play the piano, and they go, "No, you're going to get a real piano teacher." And that was the point where I thought, this is not going to be fun. Oh, this is just the worst, because I was hoping I'd do it in the comfort of my own home because, I liked doing stuff at home. I liked playing video games and watching TV and playing baseball outside and being distracted. Uh, and I just thought, oh, this is one other thing that I can do. But no, I actually had to go out to a music store and take lessons. And at the time, my sister had actually recently picked up guitar, and she was taking lessons at this place. And I think my parents were slowly trying to get all of us exposed to some kind of instrument, maybe with the hopes that we'd become some traveling sibling band that would tour the country. I'm not really sure. I'd have to ask them about that. I'll make a note. But it wasn't a great experience at the start for me because I remember my teacher. He was a very elderly man. He was very confused. He taught me at a very slow pace, slower than I would have wanted, and his confusion sort of manifested in things such as him canceling piano lessons because he thought that the keyboard wasn't working, when in reality, it just wasn't plugged in. His hands were very shaky, and it just wasn't the best way to get me started out. I don't think he was the best person to start teaching me piano, so I hated it to the core. I hated practicing. I did not want to practice. I was told I had to practice half an hour every single day, and I'd have to set a timer on the oven. Sometimes I set it to 20 minutes to see if I can get away with it. Sometimes I could, sometimes I couldn't. It wasn't fun for me, and I wasn't enjoying these beginner piano books, and I wanted to be done. I wanted to learn from somebody else. And there was a time, actually, where that did happen. My parents realized that this was not the place that me and my sister should be taking lessons. So we stopped going there, and they found another piano teacher, and we ended up taking lessons at his house, and it was a completely different change of pace. This guy was significantly younger, which was good, so he wasn't elderly and confused. Not the other guy was really nice, but this was just a completely better scenario for me and for my sister. And this guy was so well versed in all these different instruments. I mean, he could sing, he could play the piano and the guitar and the cello. I think the violin also. There were a few others. But I actually think he went to the same college that I did, Kent State University, for piano performance. I can't remember. I might be wrong about that. But This guy was extremely talented. He was extremely nice. He was extremely patient. And he really opened my eyes to music in general, being uh, just being able to embrace the idea of learning music, learning a musical instrument, and it was a lot better for me. Uh, I started using the beginner books with him, and I still didn't like learning the piano. And I guess I realized that I had to do this in order to get better, to train my hands to play completely different things. And I was never classically trained. I was averagely trained. I don't know exactly what you'd call it, but I didn't learn any of the complicated pieces. I never learned that stuff where my left hand and my right hand would have to jump through wormholes or anything like that. All that ridiculous stuff. But what I did learn, it was very complicated for me at first, and part of it was because I didn't like practicing. But there was a point where things started to click for me, and I think it was the point where we sort of moved from the beginner books, and my teacher said, "Okay, if there are any songs that you want to learn, you can let me know, and we can look for the music for it." And I realized that means that I can actually learn songs that I like on the piano. Um, and so we would do that on occasions. I would bring in a song that I really liked, whether it was from a TV show or from a song that was popular at the time, and he would teach me it. Sometimes we'd have to listen to the music to write out the notes for it because we couldn't find the sheet music for it, which also gave me a better ear for listening to songs when I hear them on the radio or on the TV. And this whole experience, I think, opened my eyes in a way that nothing else probably could. I, I applaud my parents for keeping me going those years when it was difficult to get me to practice, because there eventually I did reach a time eventually where I could not stop practicing. Things clicked, and I had a musical revelation. I realized how great of an instrument a piano actually is, and it's always been a great instrument. Don't get me wrong. It's just I hadn't realized it for a while, but I was practicing for an hour to 2 hours every single day, where there were some times where my parents had to tell me to stop playing, which I never thought would happen. And but I'm sure for a fact that they are glad that I continued with it all these years, even from the beginning, from when I didn't hate it, but it really did grow on me, and I'm really glad that I did stick with it. And it also led me to other things, other different musical outlets, including choir. Singing was something that I was never great at, even to this day. I could always somewhat carry a tune, but I was never a great singer. But my sisters were in choir in middle school, and I thought, well, this is something that I want to be better at. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know what people are going to say if I try singing. But I joined the choir. The director knew me because he was also the director for my sisters. So it was like I didn't get any special treatment or anything like that. But I was in choir, and unfortunately, I was with a group of people who didn't really take it seriously. They were taking it because they needed some kind of they needed to fulfill some kind of musical requirement for middle school and also for high school. So I think some of these people took it for that. I think some other people took it because of the attractive people that took it. I know a lot of the guys took choir because there were attractive girls. And while I can't deny that, it still kind of made me sad that none of the guys really wanted to be there because they wanted to sing. So it made things a little more difficult, and the choir was never well behaved. But this gave me an opportunity, though, to take it more seriously and try to make myself stand out. Not necessarily brag, but learn more and take advantage when nobody else is taking advantage of it. Take full advantage of everything that we are learning, everything we are learning about singing. And this was also the time where my musical horizon started to broaden. I was taking vocal lessons from my piano teacher at the time, too. I was kind of flip-flopping between both. And I was also learning about new music because I did not have the best knowledge of other genres until I got to choir and until I started learning vocal performance. So it was a great time for me to do that, to learn about other styles of music. I remember Coldplay being one of the first genres that I sort of branched out to. I know for whatever reason it's mainstream to dislike Coldplay nowadays, but they're good. They are a good band, and I think they don't get enough credit these days, unfortunately. Anyways, that's a story for another time. It, being in middle school and being able to expand my musical horizon really helped by the time I got to high school, because that was the time where the guys and the girls sort of got split up. The guys had to be in their own choir, and the girls were split up into two different choirs. And then there was the co-ed choir, which was very top tier. Like, you had to be really good to be in there. And I really wanted to be there because that's where my sisters were at the time when I started high school. So I just remember my very first week of high school, I was in choir with my best friend and a couple other people that I knew, and then some other upperclassmen who didn't want to be in concert choir. And my choir director pulled me aside at one point and she told me, we're in need of some basses in the concert choir, and I was wondering if you wanted to join. And, that, like, there didn't even have to be a question. I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And she was nice enough to invite my best friend, who also happened to be in the choir with me. And he was also a bass. For those of you that don't know, basses are one of the lowest vocal parts in a choir, for guys specifically. And I was super excited to be in this, and with my best friend and also with my sisters. And I mean, everyone was really nice and welcoming because, most freshmen don't get into the concert choir. That doesn't happen very often at all. So it was a big deal. And, we were kind of quiet compared to everyone else because we were freshmen and everybody else was a junior or a senior. But this also helped me to expand my musical horizon. I keep saying that. But I also got a chance to sort of exercise my piano playing, because at the time, sometimes certain songs needed accompaniment, and we'd have different performances where our director would need to conduct, and she'd need a piano player. And we even had different showcase type events like cabaret, where it was basically like a talent show for singing and playing instruments. So I would play the piano for that, and I'd even play the piano for my friends sometimes if they wanted to do something like sing a Broadway song. So I got to learn both of those. I got to continue to learn both of those, and don't knock vocal performance, because your voice is considered an instrument. It's your own self-instrument. So if that's something that you ever want to pursue, if you want to pick up an instrument, you can always pick up your voice. You don't have to pay for your voice. You can pay for lessons, but you don't have to buy your voice, I guess. I don't know a better way to put that. It's been a ride. I mean, just all the way up through high school, it's been a ride. And I think other than choir and piano lessons that I was still taking at the time, also another musical outlet for me was the drama club, because they had recently started doing musicals, which they hadn't done in over 25 years, I think. So the first one that they did was Grease, and my sister was in it, and I was asked to be in the pit band for it. We had live music, and I played the piano for it, and it was decent for it being the first time we had done a musical in a long time. And I had a lot of fun with it, and that encouraged me to join the drama club officially and actually star as one of the leads in West Side Story the next year. And West Side Story, side note, is my favorite musical. Yes, I love it. Love the music, love the story. I got to play Riff, who was one of the gang leaders. It was a great time to learn how to dance a little bit more and also sing while dancing. It was so cool. And that is a pun based on the musical. So if you haven't seen it, uh, I definitely encourage you to do that. Um, and during that time also, this was like halfway through high school, I wanted to pick up another instrument. And I thought, well, I mean, what am I going to pick up? Because I didn't think I could afford anything. I didn't think anything would be easy to pick up, but I knew a friend of mine who played the ukulele, and she said, "Oh yeah, I taught myself, and it's only 4 strings and it's easy." So I thought, okay, I think I'll give that a try. So I got a ukulele for my birthday halfway through high school, and I started teaching myself. Even my piano teacher knew a little bit about the ukulele, so he could teach me. And it. I mean, to this day, I still play it. I'm still learning stuff about it. Still learning new chords, learning new songs. I usually go back to the stuff that I learned when I first got the ukulele, but I mean, it was great to have like such a bright instrument be a completely different change of pace from what I was doing. So those were my high school years, and some of that actually translated into college. I stopped playing lessons at the age of 18, and I was really sad to leave my piano teacher since I had been taking lessons from him for almost 10 years. Because I had to go to college and I had to leave home and all of that. And I even through college, I knew for a while that I wanted to continue with music. I didn't want to stop. And I mean, that encouraged me to join the choir with my church and also play the piano for them down the road. I know for several times I was a fill-in for our music director there, and eventually by my senior year, I was playing for every single weekend at church, and that helped me to brush up on the some of the piano playing that I had sort of let myself. I sort of got lazy with. And it was great being able to get back into it like that, and it also encouraged me to start a praise and worship group in with my church group. I would create praise and worship events every few months, and we'd play contemporary music, and it was such a great turnout. Everybody had a good time, and it made me very happy to be able to coordinate something like that and sort of express myself and help other people express themselves through both music and faith. And it was like college in general was such a great time for me to explore a little bit more with all of that. And that also came, like my YouTube channel came along with that, not just with the impressions that I did, but I wanted to sort of expand the level of creativity, the level of subjects and topics that I did in my videos. And that's why I would do covers of songs, I would do parodies of songs, and I always had fun with that. I enjoyed sometimes taking a break from the impressions and doing something else, or incorporating music into my impressions, like doing a song with doing "Rolling in the Deep" by Adele with 30 different cartoon characters. It's been a wild ride just being able to express that in different ways, both to my friends and my family, and also all of you people. And I'm getting a little mushy here, but it's been a such a blessing, such a great life-changing experience for me that I know I wouldn't change for anything. I might add a few more instruments to it, but I don't think I would take away anything that I've ever learned. And I just wish I could have learned more in my time. I wish I had embraced it a lot sooner. But I definitely don't regret anything that I've learned. And I encourage all of you that if you have an instrument that you want to play or are trying to pick up, I'd say do your best and try to take it up, because it's a great experience. I don't know if it's true what studies say about people who play instruments are more intellectual, intelligent, great, better at conversations. I don't know anything about that, but it's definitely something that's life changing for you. It's something that it sort of gives you an outlet to express yourself. And like I said at the beginning, where words fail, music speaks. Sometimes you can't put your thoughts into words, but you can put them into music. And if you're great at writing music, unlike myself, that gives you another advantage. But if you want to learn how to sing, learn how to sing. If you want to learn how to play the piano or the cello or the guitar, I really don't know. But let me know what kind of instrument you want to play, what kind of instrument you do play, if you've ever played an instrument and quit. Um, but I I'm curious, what kind of musical things inspire you? What drives you to be a musician, if you want to be a musician, or if you just want to be one on the side who happens to know how to play certain songs. I know that's me in the case, usually with the ukulele, but I'd like to hear what all of you guys have to say about music and how you feel about it. Maybe you don't like music at all, which I think is a little bit difficult to believe, considering it's like the most popular language in the world. Um, yeah. Continue to let me know how the show is going. Let me know some topics that you want to talk about. I'm going to try to get a guest on the show at some point. It's just a matter of finding a guest, just to change things up and have somebody to bounce off of. We'll see where all of that goes. But for the time being, I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next time.